She told me, if you're insecure about hanging out with my ex, then you're never gonna last with me or anyone else. I responded, good thing I'm not trying to last with you. Then I took my promotion abroad, and now she's living with her parents, begging for handouts. Hey Reddit. So I just went through a breakup that started with Spanish class and ended with me moving countries. Thought I was in a normal relationship? Turns out my girlfriend was way more invested in a situationship with her college fling than in us. I set my line in the sand, she crossed it, and let's just say I didn't stick around to play babysitter. What followed was hands down the wildest mix of delusion, sabotage attempts, and karma I've ever seen. And somehow, I came out of it on top. You ever notice how women can make the dumbest excuses sound like a charity project? That's how this started. I, 28 male, been with Audrey, 26 female, for 2 years, living together for one. Things were fine, normal, steady. I wasn't thinking about marriage yet, but we had the routine. Netflix nights, shared groceries, her taking over half my closet with just temporary stuff. Normal couple problems. Then Phil popped back into the picture. Phil is her college situationship. Not her ex, not a fling, not some guy she dated for 6 months. No, it's worse. He's the we fooled around, it wasn't serious. But I always wondered what if guy. The type of guy women keep in the back of their head, like an old saved playlist they swear they don't listen to anymore. And guess who just moved back to town? Yeah, him. 2 weeks after his return, Audrey suddenly becomes so invested in learning Spanish. I'm talking Duolingo streaks, Spanish podcasts blasting in the shower. Hola! When I walk into the room like she's Dora the Explorer. I raised an eyebrow the second she mentioned it. Spanish, huh? I asked. Yeah, it'll be fun. Phil's taking the class too, so we just signed up together. It's on Saturdays. That was my first red flag. Not the class. The we. No one signs up for a whole class with their college situationship, unless they're still carrying a torch. I didn't play dumb. I didn't act insecure. I just looked her dead in the eye and said, wait, let me get this straight. You're taking private Spanish lessons with your ex whatever, and you didn't think that might be a problem? She rolled her eyes immediately. Oh my God, he's not my ex. We were just a thing in college. It's not a big deal. You're overthinking. That's Audrey in a nutshell. Delusional confidence. She really thought that explanation made it less suspicious. Like, don't worry, babe, we never actually dated. We just hooked up for months without a title. Right. Totally reassuring. I smirked. So you're telling me you're paying someone to teach you Spanish when Duolingo exists? And the cherry on top is your teacher just happens to be Phil? Yeah, seems legit. She huffed like I was being dramatic. You're so sarcastic sometimes. Why can't you just trust me? Because, I said, no guy signs up for language lessons with a woman he used to sleep with unless he wants extra credit. That shut her up. She gave me the classic, you're being dramatic speech, tossed in a Phil's just a friend, and acted like she'd already won the debate. But I wasn't debating. I was setting the record straight. I told her flat out, listen, I don't like it. I'm not banning you from doing anything, but don't confuse that with approval. You're making a choice here. Make sure it's the right one. She didn't say anything after that. She just gave me this fake, sweet smile, kissed me on the cheek and said, you'll see, it's fine. The thing is, I wasn't jealous. I've never been the jealous type, but I'm not stupid either. When a woman starts investing time, energy, and new outfits into classes with the guy she used to hook up with, it's not about language. It's about nostalgia. It's about curiosity. And most importantly, it's about disrespect. I wasn't about to chase her around or beg her to see reason. That's not me. I believe in letting people hang themselves with their own rope. My job is just to keep the receipts. So I played it cool. I didn't blow up her phone when she disappeared every Saturday. I didn't interrogate her when she came back smelling like someone else's cologne while muttering about verb conjugations. I just watched, listened, and filed it all away. She thought I didn't notice when she started dressing better for class than for date nights. Heels, perfume, curled hair, all for a Saturday morning Spanish lesson. Sure, because senorita verbs require red lipstick. The more obvious it got, the calmer I got. And that calmness drove her nuts. Every time she'd try to poke at me, why are you so quiet lately? Do you not care? I'd just smile and say, oh, I care. Don't worry. Because here's the truth. When you know you're holding the bigger card, you don't waste energy on the small plays. I already had a plan forming in the back of my mind. She thought she was sneaky. I thought she was sloppy. Big difference. The chapter closes like this. Phil was back, Audrey was delusional, and I wasn't buying her platonic classmate act for a second. I'd already told her my line in the sand. If she wanted to dance around with her college what if, that was her problem. But the day she crossed it, she'd find out quick that I don't bluff. And judging by how things were going, she was about to learn that lesson real soon. The next Friday, Audrey mumbled something about a coworker dinner. She was halfway out the door before she even gave me the excuse. Shoes already on, purse over her shoulder, keys in hand. That's how you know it's a lie. When someone tosses the alibi at you as an afterthought, like they're just covering a base. Coworker dinner, huh? I said, not moving from the couch. Yeah, she answered too quickly. Just casual, nothing big. Don't wait up. I tilted my head, studying her. No red lipstick, no little black dress, nothing over the top. She was smarter than that. Just jeans, a sweater, hair straightened. Normal. Subtle. If I didn't already know better, I might have bought it. But I did know better. Funny, I said, voice calm, almost casual. You work in HR. Since when does HR host after-hours bonding sessions on a Friday night? Unless you're teaching people how to fill out W-2s over dessert, something isn't adding up. Her jaw tightened. Why do you always have to twist things? It's just dinner. I stood up and met her eyes. Calm, firm. No yelling, no begging. Just truth. If you keep hanging out with Phil, we're done. No negotiation. That got her. She blinked like she hadn't expected me to go there. Her face went red fast, like a kid caught stealing cookies. Wow, she snapped. Seriously? You're going to throw away 2 years over me being social? You sound paranoid. This is insane. I didn't flinch. This isn't paranoia. This is reality. Phil isn't your coworker, and we both know it. You want to hang out with your ex-situationship? Fine. Just don't expect me to sit here like an idiot while you play dumb. She crossed her arms, defensive. You're controlling. No, I corrected, keeping my tone even. I'm decisive. Big difference. There was a pause. Her eyes flicked away, then back to me. Finally, she sighed and muttered, Fine. If it bothers you that much, I won't see him outside of class anymore. She said it like she was making a sacrifice, like she deserved applause. I nodded once. Good, because if you do, don't bother coming back. That was the end of it, at least on the surface. She stormed out, tossing a half-hearted, You're unbelievable, over her shoulder. The door slammed shut. But here's the truth. I already knew she was lying. It wasn't obvious stuff like lipstick marks or perfume clouds. Audrey was more subtle. She left cracks in her stories that didn't fit together, and I was paying attention. Like how she'd come home stuffed from dinner with coworkers, yet I'd find instant ramen wrappers in the trash, eaten before she even left. Or how she claimed she was at a work drinks thing, but had no pictures, no texts from friends, no evidence at all. Every time the label changed. Dinner, drinks, meetings, didn't matter. The constant was Phil, and I wasn't buying it. Tiny things. The kind of details people ignore until it's too late. But I notice everything. That night, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel jealous. I didn't even feel betrayed. What I felt was clarity. Standing in that apartment, I realized Audrey was a lost cause. She could swear up and down that she'd stopped seeing Phil, but the cracks were too obvious. The fact that she even needed to be told in the first place? That was the real problem. Respect isn't something you beg for. It's either there or it isn't. And in this case, it wasn't. So I checked out. Not emotionally, not slowly. I just flipped a switch in my head. She wasn't my problem anymore. The very next morning, I sat down at my desk with a coffee and pulled up the email from my boss. The Toronto promotion, official offer, contract attached. 6-figure raise, full relocation package, company condo in the heart of the city. All mine if I wanted it. And for the first time in weeks, I felt excited. Not because of the money, though, let's be honest, that didn't hurt, but because this was mine. Purely mine. No baggage, no drama, no one else's input. Just an opportunity staring me in the face, waiting for me to grab it. I didn't hit accept right away. Not because of Audrey, she wasn't even in the equation anymore, but because I wanted to run the numbers, line things up right. I thought about the timing of my lease. I thought about negotiating relocation perks. I thought about how this role would set me up long-term, 5, 10 years down the line. It was all strategy, zero emotion. Meanwhile, Audrey still thought she was running her little side quest undetected. She'd shuffle in late, toss her coat on the chair, and mumble about long meetings or catching up with coworkers. I didn't argue. I didn't even raise an eyebrow. She thought my silence meant I believed her, but what it really meant was I didn't care anymore. Because here's the thing. Once you know someone's not worth the energy, every lie just becomes background noise. Static on a TV you're not watching. She thought she was outsmarting me, In reality, I'd stopped playing the game altogether. The new game was mine. Toronto, the promotion, the career move. Audrey wasn't the prize anymore. She wasn't even a factor. And that's the difference between me and most guys. They'd sit around begging, bargaining, trying to salvage something that was already dead. I don't fight over scraps. I don't plead with people who already made their choice. She thought she was writing the story, but all she was really doing was setting me up for a much better ending. And when the confrontation came, it wasn't going to be a warning. It was going to be the final chapter of us. The apartment felt different after that. Quieter, colder. She still did her little routines, scrolling on the couch, muttering about long meetings, but the air was heavy. We weren't talking anymore, just orbiting each other. And I knew it was only a matter of time before the silence cracked. That Saturday, she tried the same tired routine, walked into the living room in jeans and a plain top, hair tied back, looking as low effort as she could manage, like she was going to trick me into thinking this wasn't suspicious. She grabbed her phone and muttered, "Heading out. Coworker thing." I didn't even look up from my laptop. Coworker thing. Which one? She froze for half a second before answering too quickly. Oh, just a few of us. Nothing major. We're meeting for drinks downtown. I finally closed my laptop, leaned back, and gave her a long look. Right. Drinks with coworkers. Totally believable considering I've never once heard you mention any of them by name. Her eyes narrowed. Why do you always have to interrogate me? Can't I have my own life without you hovering? That was it. No more pretending. I stood up, calm as ever. Audrey, cut the act. You're still seeing Phil. You lied straight to my face. And I told you exactly what would happen if you kept doing this. She blinked like she didn't understand. What are you talking about? I told you I stopped. I cut her off with a hand. Don't insult both of us. You didn't stop. You just got sloppy. I gave you one rule. If you kept hanging out with Phil, we were done. Guess what? We're done. Her mouth dropped open, then snapped shut. Her face cycled through about 5 emotions in 10 seconds. Shock, anger, confusion, then back to anger again. You're unbelievable, she hissed. You're throwing away 2 years over paranoia. Do you even hear yourself? I smirked. Paranoia? Number. Paranoia is being afraid of shadows. This is me watching you sneak off every weekend to the same guy you used to hook up with in college. That's not paranoia, Audrey. That's reality. She crossed her arms, voice rising. You're too paranoid. If you can't handle me hanging out with my situationship, then you'll never have a good relationship with anyone. I laughed. Actually laughed. That's your argument? That a normal man should be fine with his girlfriend, spending half her week with the guy she used to hook up with? Thanks for the tip, relationship guru. But you're right about one thing. I'll never have a good relationship with someone like you. That's why I'm ending this one. Her face flushed deep red. I didn't mean it like that. You're twisting my words. You always do this, Ryan. You push until I say something in frustration, then you weaponize it against me. I tilted my head, cool and sarcastic. Or maybe you just finally told the truth. Either way doesn't matter. We're done. She stared at me like I'd just slapped her. You don't mean that. Actually, I said, walking back to my laptop, I do. I opened my email, clicked on the unread message from my boss, and typed 6 words. I accept the Toronto position. Thanks. I hit send and leaned back in my chair, satisfied. Her jaw dropped. Wait, you're actually doing it? You're just going to run away to another country? Over this? Not over this, I corrected. Because of this. You've been dead weight for months, and I'm done pretending otherwise. Toronto was always the better choice. You just made the decision easier. Her tone switched instantly from angry to desperate. Wait, no, please. I'll stop seeing him. I'll block him, I'll delete him, I swear. Don't throw us away over something so stupid. I shook my head, smirking. Too late. You had your chance. I told you once, clear as day. You didn't listen. And now I'm not listening to you. She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. Ryan, don't do this. You'll regret it. Phil doesn't mean anything to me. Not compared to us. You're overreacting. I gave her the coldest smile I could muster. You want me to regret something? Here it is. I regret not taking the promotion the first time it was offered. I regret wasting energy giving you the benefit of the doubt when you never deserved it. Her eyes welled up, but they weren't sad tears. They were angry ones. She stomped her foot like a kid in a candy aisle. You're selfish, immature, paranoid. You'll never find anyone who puts up with you the way I have. That made me laugh again. Puts up with me? Audrey, I pay the bills, cook half the meals, and supported you through every dumb career pivot you've tried in the last 2 years. You didn't put up with me. You leached off me. Big difference. Her lip curled. Fine. Go to Toronto. See if I care. You'll be lonely and miserable without me. I leaned back in my chair, calm as ever. Maybe. But at least I'll be lonely and miserable in a condo with a skyline view, making double what I used to, instead of babysitting a girlfriend who thinks situationships are study groups. That was the dagger. She grabbed her purse off the counter, muttering curses under her breath, and stormed toward the door. Before leaving, she turned back and spat, "You'll regret this, Ryan." I smirked, tapping the side of my laptop. Already don't. The door slammed shut behind her, and just like that, it was quiet. No shouting, no lies, no excuses. Just silence. 2 years together, and it ended with one sentence and one email. I was single, employed, and heading to Toronto. She was still lying to herself, and between the two of us, I liked my odds a whole lot better. Turns out I wasn't the only one making calculations. A day after Audrey stormed out, my phone buzzed with a screenshot from a mutual friend. It was Phil, and the genius had accidentally dropped a brag in the wrong group chat. Her boyfriend still thinks we're in Spanish class. LMAO. The message was followed by a couple laughing emojis from his buddies, plus a bro you're savage. The mutual friend forwarded it with a simple line. Thought you'd want to see this. I just smirked. Didn't even get angry. This was the confirmation I already had. Phil was sloppy, Audrey was delusional, and I was free. I forwarded the screenshot to Audrey with one word. Interesting. Her response came fast. 15 missed calls, 3 paragraphs of texts, and a voicemail where she cried about context and how Phil was just joking. I didn't answer. I had better things to do, like lining up movers, getting my lease paperwork sorted, and planning my exit. Toronto was calling, and I wasn't about to waste time humoring a liar who thought I was dumb enough to believe in context. But Audrey wasn't done. The following week, while I was finalizing things with my boss, 2 unexpected visitors showed up at my office. My assistant buzzed me. Ryan? There are 2 women here asking for you. They say it's urgent. They claim to be family. Family? I stepped out into the lobby and nearly laughed. There stood Diane, Audrey's mother, dressed like she was attending a church board meeting, and Haley, her younger sister, arms crossed and glaring like she just caught me stealing their inheritance. I didn't invite them back, but they weren't here for me. They'd already gone over my head. Apparently, they'd made a scene in the lobby, loud enough that security called HR to de-escalate. To contain it, HR stuck them in a conference room. My boss joined out of sheer annoyance. By the time I walked in, they were mid-performance. Diane started first, hands folded dramatically. We're very worried about Ryan. He's having a mental health episode. His sudden decision to uproot his entire life and run away to Canada is very concerning. This isn't like him. Haley chimed in like a backup singer. Yes, he's paranoid, making up crazy accusations about Audrey. He's been erratic, impulsive. We just don't think he's stable enough for leadership right now. I almost laughed out loud. They weren't even subtle. Straight character assassination. No mention of Audrey, no mention of Phil, just them painting me like some lunatic who needed supervision. HR glanced at me carefully, waiting for a reaction. My boss, to his credit, looked annoyed. He hated drama. I sat down, folded my arms, and said calmly, "Are we done with the performance, or should I grab popcorn?" Diane stiffened. "Excuse me? You came here to sabotage my promotion," I said flatly. "Let's not dance around it. You're upset your daughter got dumped, so now you're trying to paint me as unstable. It's pathetic." Haley opened her mouth, but I held up my phone and slid it across the table. The group chat screenshot glowed on the screen. Phil's words in full view. Her boyfriend still thinks we're in Spanish class. LMAO. HR leaned forward. My boss picked up the phone, read it, and raised his eyebrows. "Context?" I said, smirking. "That's your daughter's platonic classmate bragging to his friends about how he's sleeping with her behind my back. That's the reality. So if I look erratic for leaving a liar and taking a promotion, then I guess stability is overrated." Silence. Diane's face went pale. Haley shifted uncomfortably. They hadn't expected receipts. My boss finally spoke. "Ms. White," he said, addressing Diane, "with all due respect, this is a workplace. Ryan has earned this promotion through performance, not family politics. If you're concerned about his personal life, that's between him and his ex. But unless you can provide anything other than accusations, this meeting is over." That was it. Meeting adjourned. HR escorted them out politely, but not before Diane hissed at me. "You'll regret this, Ryan. You're throwing away a good woman." I leaned in, voice low and calm. She was never a good woman. She was your project, not my partner. And I'm not your son. So take your drama somewhere else. They stormed out, flustered and humiliated. When the door closed, my boss chuckled. Well handled. Honestly, if you can keep that composure under fire, Toronto's lucky to have you. That moment sealed it. The sabotage attempt didn't just fail, it backfired, making me look even more composed, even more ready for leadership. That evening, I got a follow-up email from HR confirming my relocation details. Flights booked, movers scheduled, condo arranged. Everything was locked in. Meanwhile, Audrey went nuclear on social media. Me? I didn't respond, didn't clap back, didn't engage. I poured myself a drink, leaned on my balcony, and looked over the skyline. Toronto was waiting, and for the first time in months, I felt completely untouchable. That feeling didn't fade when I landed in Toronto. If anything, it amplified. The company condo was better than advertised. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a skyline view that made the city look like it was built just for me, and a short walk to the office. After years of dealing with Audrey's excuses and Phil's shadow, walking into that place felt like stepping into the next version of my life. Work hit the ground running too. The Toronto team wasn't just good, they were sharp, ambitious, and actually excited to have me leading. My first week, my boss pulled me aside after a meeting and said, "You've got presence. People listen when you talk. You're going to fit in here perfectly." Translation? The job was mine to own, and Audrey's drama was yesterday's trash. Of course, she couldn't let it go. Back home, she was spiraling online, posting sad Instagram stories with captions like, "Abandoned for money," and "Some men don't value loyalty anymore." Her followers weren't having it. The comment section turned into a roast battle. "Didn't you hang with Phil every weekend? Girl, weren't you the one saying Spanish class? Ryan didn't abandon you, he leveled up." She deleted half the posts within hours. I didn't even have to lift a finger. She was burying herself with her own narrative. Then came the curveball. Elizabeth. One night, I was unpacking boxes in the condo when a DM hit my Instagram. "Hey, you don't know me, but I think we need to talk. I'm Phil's girlfriend." Or, I was. I set the phone down, chuckled, and grabbed a drink before opening it again. The message continued. "I saw your ex's posts about you leaving for Toronto. Phil told me she was obsessed with him and making things up. But now, I'm not so sure." I messaged back, "Not obsessed, just delusional, and not making things up. Want proof?" Within minutes, I was sending her everything. The screenshots from Phil's group chat brag, the timeline of Audrey's Spanish classes, the lies she fed me. Elizabeth's responses came in waves. First disbelief, then fury, then appreciation. "Wow, thank you for being straight with me. He's been gaslighting me for months." This explains everything. Elizabeth wasn't done. She posted the receipts on her Instagram story, tagging Phil, tagging Audrey, and dropping the line of the century. "Spanish class my ass. This is what betrayal looks like." It blew up instantly. Friends, co-workers, acquaintances, everyone saw it. Phil went from gym bro to public clown in about 10 minutes. The nickname Señor Español started circulating, and it stuck. Audrey tried to spin it. She messaged me, "Ryan, please, this is all being blown out of proportion." It was never serious. Phil manipulated me. "Don't you care at all?" I didn't even respond. Why would I? She wasn't my problem anymore. Toronto was treating me better than any relationship ever had. I woke up every morning in a condo with a skyline view, walked to an office where people respected me, and spent my evenings exploring a city that actually felt alive. For once, my life wasn't revolving around someone else's excuses. Meanwhile, Phil was imploding. Elizabeth dumped him publicly. Screenshots of his lies spread like wildfire through their circles. At the gym, guys started calling him Señor Español to his face. The man went from smug to sulking in record time. And Audrey? She was caught in the fallout too. The same friends who used to cheer her on stopped answering her calls. Her family started questioning her story. Even Haley, her sister, posted a cryptic TikTok about how some people create their own storms and then cry when it rains. I didn't need revenge. They were doing it to themselves. The best part? My silence. I didn't engage, didn't clap back, didn't even acknowledge their existence. Because nothing screams "I won" louder than indifference. One night, sitting on my balcony overlooking the Toronto skyline, I thought about everything that had happened. 3 months ago, Audrey was telling me I'd never have a good relationship if I couldn't handle her situationship. Now she was the punchline in her own social circle. Phil was Señor Español, and I was living the life she swore I'd never choose. That's the thing about people like Audrey and Phil. They think they're running the game. But the truth? They're just pieces on the board. And when you know how to move, you don't need to fight. You just let them expose themselves, then step into a better life without them. Toronto wasn't just a promotion. It was a reset button. And I'd hit it at the perfect time. Everything about the city felt like an upgrade. The skyline views from my condo, the buzz of the streets, the fact that my office actually respected me. It was like I'd been living life on easy mode before and just unlocked something better. I'd wake up, have coffee with the skyline, head into a job where people listened when I spoke, and spend evenings exploring neighborhoods I'd never seen before. And the best part? No drama. At least until Audrey decided she wasn't done humiliating herself. It started with a call from building security. "Mr. Carter," the guard said over the intercom. "There's a woman downstairs insisting she's here to see you. Says she's your girlfriend." I almost laughed. "Describe her." "Blonde, late 20s, looks upset." Figures. Audrey had flown a couple thousand miles just to stand in my lobby. "She's not my girlfriend," I said flatly. "Don't let her in. She's not on the list." They turned her away, but she didn't leave. She camped outside the building for 4 hours. 4 hours. In the cold, pacing the sidewalk, holding her phone like she was expecting me to call. Finally, when I stepped out for lunch, there she was. Hair greasy, sweatshirt crumpled, clutching a paper cup of coffee like it was her last lifeline. "Ryan," she said immediately, "we need to talk." I looked at her, calm as ever. "What are you even doing here?" "I flew all the way from home," she said, like she was announcing a heroic sacrifice. "The least you can do is have coffee with me." Against my better judgment, I agreed. Not because I owed her anything, but because I wanted to see how far down the rabbit hole of delusion she'd gone. We sat in a cafe near the office, cafe near the key. She started the performance instantly. "I've been going to therapy," she said. "I blocked Phil. I'm focusing on myself. I know I messed up, but I've changed." I sipped my espresso, unimpressed. "That's great. Really. But therapy doesn't erase the last 6 months." Her face tightened. "You don't understand. I thought I could have both. I thought you'd always be there. You were stable, reliable. I thought you'd never leave." There it was. The truth. She didn't regret Phil. She regretted losing her safety net. "Why would you think that?" I asked, leaning back in my chair. "Because you never stood up to me," she said. "You never called me out. You just let things slide. I thought you didn't care." I chuckled. "So your defense is that you lied because I was too easygoing? That's your big reveal?" Her lip quivered. "I can fix this. We can fix this." "No," I said, sharp and final. "You can fix you. I've already moved on." She panicked. "I'm pregnant." I laughed. Couldn't help it. The cafe went quiet for a second as people turned to look, and I leaned forward, smirking. "No, you're not." Her eyes narrowed. "How do you know?" "Because we haven't touched each other in 2 months. Unless immaculate conception happened at Spanish class, it's not mine. Unless it's Phil's. Want me to send him a card?" Her face crumbled. She whispered, "I'm not pregnant. I needed you to care." I leaned closer. "I did care. For 2 years. You didn't notice until I stopped." She cried. Not the gutted, heartbroken kind. The manipulative kind. The, if I look pitiful enough, maybe he'll fold kind. But I wasn't folding. When the tears failed, she tried a new angle. A week later, I got a late-night text. "At hospital. Panic attack. Doctor says it's serious. Please come." I didn't respond. Not because I didn't believe she was there, but because I didn't care. Her emergencies were just another form of control, and I'd already cut the strings. The next day she sent, "You're cruel. Heartless. How can you ignore me when I'm like this?" I ignored that too. Because here's the thing. Attention, even negative attention, was her fuel. Take it away, and she had nothing. Meanwhile, my life kept moving. I was building connections at work, checking out new restaurants, actually enjoying myself. Every time I looked out from that condo balcony, it reminded me how far I'd come. And Audrey? She was stuck in her own delusion. She thought if she flew across the continent, if she cried in cafes, if she faked pregnancies and panic attacks, I'd crumble and go back. She thought she still had leverage. But leverage only works if the other person is still on the rope. I'd already cut it. The truth is, men like me, men who stand their ground, who know their worth, we don't get manipulated twice. Once you show me who you are, that's it. Game over. Toronto wasn't just a reset. It was the proof that walking away was the smartest move I'd ever made. And Audrey? She was still trying to rewrite a story that I'd already ended. After the failed Toronto stunt, the cafe meltdown, the fake pregnancy, the panic attack texts, she finally flew back home. I thought that might be the end of it. But with Audrey, endings were never clean. She didn't go home to rebuild or reflect. She went home to find another sucker. That didn't take long. Within 2 weeks, my buddy back home sent me screenshots. Audrey was suddenly posting cozy selfies with a new guy. Her coworker, apparently. The captions were nauseating. When the right person shows up, you just know. Some things fall apart so better things can fall together. Translation: she'd latched onto the first guy dumb enough to mistake her attention for affection. Word got around quick. She was basically living at his place after 3 weeks, posting like she'd found her soulmate. The irony? This was the same woman who swore she wasn't ready to move in after 2 years with me. Patterns don't lie. At first, she played house with him, cooking dinners, tagging him in couple selfies, writing captions about how he accepted her for who she was. Then, predictably, she tried freeloading, started bringing over bags of clothes, talking about how much easier it would be if she just stayed full-time. But here's where karma hit. Turns out, her new guy wasn't exactly boyfriend of the year material. 3 months in, Audrey walked in on him working late with another woman. Not just any woman, one of his coworkers. From what I heard, Audrey had a meltdown of epic proportions. Tears, screaming, throwing things. The whole scene. He didn't even argue. He packed a bag and moved in with the new girl the next week. Audrey was left with nothing but a toothbrush and an air mattress at his place. So much for her better things falling together. She tried messaging me after that. Of course she did. A long paragraph on WhatsApp about how she finally understood how I felt, how she was so sorry, how she never should have taken me for granted. I left her on red. Because here's the truth. Her apology wasn't about me. It was about her losing stability again. Audrey wasn't suddenly enlightened. She was just desperate. But the real fireworks came from Phil. See, while Audrey was busy imploding back home, Phil was trying to rebuild his image. Problem was, his reputation had tanked. After Elizabeth's public receipts and the Señor Español nickname, he couldn't show his face without someone cracking a joke. He tried dating again, but word spread fast. Nobody wanted to be the girl known for taking a chance on Señor Español. Then Elizabeth delivered the finishing blow. She had connections. Turns out, people in Phil's own industry knew about his bragging texts. She made sure those screenshots landed in the right group chats. Suddenly, every networking event, every work party, every bar night, Phil was the punchline. He even reached out to me once. Sent me a message on LinkedIn of all places. Hey man, no hard feelings? Maybe we can grab a drink, water under the bridge. I didn't reply. Why would I? The guy spent months disrespecting me, bragging about it, and now wanted a bro handshake because his life was in shambles. Not my problem. Meanwhile, I was thriving. The Toronto promotion came through officially. My salary jumped again after my 6-month review. The company hinted they saw me as long-term leadership material. I wasn't just surviving without Audrey. I was building a life she couldn't even imagine. And yeah, I started dating again. Met Alice, Irish, works in publishing, sharp sense of humor, zero baggage. When I told her the Spanish class story, she laughed so hard she cried. Then she said the magic words, "I don't even talk to my exes, let alone spend weekends with them." That's when it hit me. Respect doesn't have to be begged for. With the right person, it's just there. As for Audrey, last I heard she moved back in with her parents. No more coworker, no more Instagram soulmate captions, just an empty room in the house she swore she'd never return to. The final nail in her delusion came in the form of silence. Nobody was buying her story anymore. Not her friends, not her family, not even Phil, who had his own mess to deal with. She was isolated, still rewriting a story nobody wanted to read. Me? I was living proof of what happens when you stop playing someone else's game. I didn't beg. I didn't chase. I didn't let her redefine reality. I cut the rope, took the promotion, and moved on. And the ending couldn't have been clearer. Audrey was stuck rewriting the past. Phil was drowning in his own reputation. And me? I was in Toronto, with a skyline view, a career I actually cared about, and a girlfriend who thought Spanish class was the funniest inside joke she'd ever heard. Between the three of us, only one story mattered, and it wasn't theirs. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way.